The world is on edge and Ukraine is on the rise. Kyiv is boosting its missile power, producing Flamingo faster than ever before, 50 a month and counting. Trump just dropped a bombshell naming Erdogan as at one man who could end the war. Putin respects him, he said. And the West promises even more weapons for Ukraine. One question remains: how long will it take before they arrive? Welcome to Ukraine Today. I'm Zorislava Kolesnikova, and right now we are breaking down the battles, the deals, and the power plays shaping the world's next move. Ukraine boosts missile power, Flamingo production takes off. A new stage in Ukraine's defense industry. Ukrainian engineers have ramped up the production of their own cruise missile, the Flamingo. Right now, about 50 missiles a month are being made, but by the end of the year, that number could rise to 7 per day. Can Ukrainians' growing missile arsenal change the course of the war?
A new level in scale, Ukraine is ramping up the production of cruise missiles. The developers of the Ukrainian Flamingo missile have stated that the company is producing 50 missiles per month and plans to reach a daily output of 7 missiles by the end of the year. The company claims that its proprietary wing manufacturing technology, which shortens the production cycle, is helping to scale up production. It should be noted that the Ukrainian missile can fly up to 3,000 kilometers and carry a ton of explosives. In August, the Flamingo struck Russian targets in temporarily occupied Crimea. Early in the morning, 3 missiles were launched from the Ukrainian coast. The strike hit a base of Russian border guards, which is overseen by the Federal Security Service of the aggressor country. Additionally, the manufacturers of the Flamingo have announced the development of their own ballistic missiles, the FP-7 and FP-9, as well as air defense systems. Thanks to private companies, Ukraine will be able to create innovations in the defense industry and effectively implement them on the battlefield.
It was precisely during the years of the full-scale invasion that Ukraine's defense sector made a revolutionary breakthrough. The production of Ukrainian ballistic missiles primarily involves, accordingly, a modernized version of the Neptune, specifically the anti-ship version of Neptune, which was upgraded to strike ground targets. At present, as a result of improved technical and tactical characteristics, developers estimate the Neptune strike range to be up to 1,000 kilometers. In addition, the Ukrainian Defense Forces are armed with the aforementioned operational tactical complex ABSAN, which has a strike range of up to 500 kilometers. Additionally, during the years of war, the Ukrainian Defense Forces have demonstrated a unique ability to modernize even Soviet-era weapon systems. Specifically, this refers to the S-200 surface-to-air missile system.
Another of the most important developments has been missile drones such as Polyanitsia, Peklo, Ruta, and Bars.
During the period of the large-scale invasion, Ukraine's defense industry has rapidly evolved in the production of its own strike weapons. And of course, let's not forget about strike drones. Here, according to KLG, which is an official recognition of Ukraine's achievements, Ukraine holds leading positions in the world.
The Ukrainian armed forces are successfully striking military targets in the Russian Federation with drone systems targeting oil refineries. Drone attacks have disabled up to 17% of Russia's oil refining capacity. Ukraine is also actively working on the production of interceptor drones. The Minister of Defense stated that Kyiv will soon reach the capacity to deploy at least 1,000 of these UAVs per day to defend against Russian attacks.
Ukraine currently holds a leading position in the production of interceptor drones. This is a Ukrainian know-how. To put the situation into perspective, during the latest provocation by the Russian Federation, specifically the violation of Polish airspace, in order to neutralize Geran decoy drones costing $10,000, NATO countries' air defense systems used missiles worth $1.5 million each. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian side is currently scaling up the so-called tactic of drone swarms, specifically through the use of interceptor drones.
Ukraine is also developing a new air defense system of the air-to-air class, capable of covering large areas. All this means that Ukrainian developers have demonstrated the ability to create high-precision weaponry capable of destroying important enemy military targets deep behind the front lines.
Trump names Erdogan as key to ending the war. Putin respects him. Donald Trump has finally named the one leader he believes can help stop Russia's war against Ukraine, Turkish President Erdogan. Turkey's leader has indeed been positioning himself as go-between, keeping ties with both Moscow and Kyiv, while offering to host new negotiations. Could Erdogan really be the man who brings an end to the war?
Trump has named the specific president who he believes could effectively help resolve Russia's ongoing war against Ukraine.
Putin respects him, and he is my friend.
Recep Tayyip Erdogan is actively involved in peacekeeping efforts to end Russia's war against Ukraine. He positions his country as a reliable mediator. The first negotiations after the start of the full-scale war took place in Istanbul in the spring of 2022. Several rounds of negotiations between representatives of the Kremlin and Ukraine also took place in Turkey in the summer of 2025.
Turkey has always advocated for a diplomatic path to achieve this goal. Now, after 3 years of immense suffering, an opportunity has finally arisen.
At last, an opportunity has finally arisen.
We hope that the negotiations in Istanbul will open a new chapter. Turkish mediation was also crucial in the Black Sea Grain Initiative, the grain corridor, which was vital for global food security. The Turkish company Baykar continues to integrate Ukrainian-made engines into its combat drones. Ukrainian engineers are interning at the Baykar plant in Istanbul, and in the future, they will form a team to work at the facility in Ukraine, which during its construction is constantly under attack from Russia.
Reinforced concrete buildings can be rebuilt. What truly matters is our will and our faith in this project. No missile can damage our friendship.
Turkey's support for Ukraine is not limited to Bayraktars and mediation.
We have demonstrated our solidarity with Ukraine in practice by providing concrete assistance in political, economic, humanitarian, and technical spheres.
Turkey closed the straits in the Black Sea to Russian warships, which significantly limited the aggressor's capabilities in the southern direction, and provided Ukraine with missiles with a range of 20 to 70 kilometers for destroying both moving and stationary ground targets.
For 500 days, the Ukrainian people have been defending the territorial integrity of their country.
The year 2025 changed a lot in Ankara's relationship with Moscow. The Kremlin feels the distancing of its old partner, realizing that Putin has fewer and fewer allies. And then another blow from Erdogan. By the end of 2028, Turkey plans to meet more than half of its natural gas needs through domestic production and imports from the United States. The Kremlin understands that for them, this means a loss of revenue and a reduction in Russian supplies to the European market.
We won't run out of gas. We possess significantly more natural gas reserves than anywhere else in the entire world.
We have it, but is it needed? But it's not just about gas. Turkey has implemented a decision to build 3 different types of military ships, which will take the country's navy another step forward. Turkey plans to develop one of the aircraft carriers together with Spain. In terms of size, it matches American nuclear aircraft carriers. In the summer of 2025, Turkey joined the drone coalition led by Latvia and the United Kingdom. Currently, the coalition already includes 20 countries providing Ukraine with military assistance in this area. In 2025, the coalition members pledged to allocate €2.75 billion in support of Ukraine and have already contributed $180 million to the Joint Procurement Fund.
Just as we declared our rejection of the war 3 years ago when the conflict began, today we are determined to do everything possible to end the war through negotiations. In doing so, we continue our steadfast support for the territorial integrity, sovereignty, and independence of Ukraine.
Turkey has declared its readiness to participate in the reconstruction of Ukraine. Projects are planned in the fields of energy efficiency, social housing, and water supply.
Turkey is interested in ensuring that Ukraine controls the northern coast of the Black Sea and that Russia does not appear there. In addition, Turkey is interested in the reconstruction of Ukraine. It is a huge market. Moreover, Turkey sees an opportunity to intensify the development of its military technical industry, considering that it can receive additional resources from selling its weapons. All of this together creates a solid foundation for being interested in this process.
Turkey, as a NATO country, was ready to send its troops to Ukraine to guarantee the implementation of peace agreements. Naturally, this initiative was condemned by the Kremlin. Officially, Ankara supports the territorial integrity of Ukraine, but tries to maintain a balance between the parties. Turkey is still trying to avoid joining the Western sanctions, which in its view allows it to remain an effective channel of communication between the Kremlin and Ukraine.
The West once again pledges to arm Ukraine, but questions remain. What kind of weapons will arrive? When will they come? And will they be enough to change the course of the war? But the delays and political debates drag on. The frontline soldiers are still waiting. Will the promises support arrive in time, or will bureaucracy cost lives?
To defend more effectively and attack more successfully, the Ukrainian General Staff has confirmed the upcoming transfer of an additional batch of Western fighter jets to the armed forces of Ukraine. In addition, there will be new deliveries of Patriot systems from several allies at once. This fall, Ukraine definitely does not intend to leave Moscow strikes unanswered.
Obviously, the Air Force fleet will expand and our capabilities will grow. This is important.
In an interview with the BBC, Ukraine's first Deputy Defense Minister, Lieutenant General Ivan Havrilyuk, said that Kyiv is preparing to receive several types of new aircraft at once.
They asked Havrilyuk when the next deliveries would take place. He replied, "When you see them in the skies over Ukraine, then you'll know." Bravo! A very good, correct answer. So that the enemy doesn't understand, doesn't know, and so there are no expectations here either. It's a clear, normal, practical, and pragmatic position. They'll be carrying out combat missions in the air and we'll see.
The only thing Havrilyuk revealed was the models of the upcoming reinforcements. So, we're talking about a new batch of F-16S, French Mirage 2000S, and Swedish Gripens.
These are indeed highly effective and incredibly powerful aircraft, meticulously developed by the innovative Swedish aerospace industry, specifically to effectively counter a significantly stronger, much better resourced adversary.
Analysts explain that given the number of sorties flown by Ukrainian aviation, the issue of maintainability is far from the least important. It is also extremely important that the pylons can accommodate both Ukrainian weapons, as well as European and American armaments. After all, supplies to Ukraine are now coming from all over the world, and the Gripen meets these requirements.
The Swedish army has spent all these years preparing to fight against the Russian Federation. Accordingly, the aircraft they developed, specifically the JAS-39, was designed to be maintainable, relatively inexpensive, and highly versatile.
At the same time, in terms of maneuverability, they are a cut above all Soviet aircraft and many Western ones, which will give our pilots a clear advantage when operating directly near the front line.
The fighters are very reliable, highly effective, and in some technical aspects, they are even better than the F-16S we are expecting from our partners.
Another addition to Ukraine's air forces will be the French Mirages. This is equipment already familiar to our pilots and especially often used for long-range strikes with Scalp and Storm Shadow missiles.
6,900 kilograms of payload. This can include bombs, missiles, a huge variety. Moreover, they can be equipped with external fuel tanks. Therefore, the payload weight can be reduced if increased range is needed, or if the aircraft needs to stay in the air for a long time, for example, for intercepting something or for patrolling.
At the same time, analysts say these planes also perform well during large-scale operations. The fact is that French fighter jets have an advanced data transmission system between aircraft, which allows them to carry out missions more effectively as a group.
It can communicate with AWACS systems, and thanks to this, it can see much more, so the shortcomings of its own radar are essentially neutralized. And the ability to create three-dimensional objects on the display makes ground attacks and low-altitude maneuvers easier. However, it should be noted that the Mirages are specifically designed to operate as a team. They exchange information with each other, with ground-based radars and with AWACS systems.
At the same time, in addition to more effective strikes, Ukraine will also be able to defend itself more effectively. According to President Volodymyr Zelensky, at the end of the summer, Israel provided us with an additional Patriot air defense system. 2 more systems are already on their way.
The Israeli system has been operating in Ukraine for a month. We will receive 2 Patriot systems in the fall. That's it. I won't say anything more about the Patriot.
However, the German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius was quite willing to talk. He confirmed that it is Berlin that is handling the delivery of Patriots to Ukraine, in addition to the 3 already provided. However, the main intrigue surrounding the transfer of additional weapons to Ukraine today remains the American Tomahawk missiles. The Institute for the Study of War has stated that Moscow is already trying to disrupt these deliveries, claiming that in response it might deploy its own Oreshnik in Venezuela. However, according to rumors from Washington, these threats have had no effect on the White House.
That's all for today on Ukraine Today. If you stand with the truth, like, comment and subscribe. And if you want to help us keep exposing the Kremlin's lies and telling Ukraine's story, become a sponsor and join our mission. Your support keeps us fighting on the information front. Stay informed, stay strong and stay with Ukraine.